Welcome to TNT on a special program for ANZAC Day 2023. ANZAC Day is a very important commemorative day for especially Australians and New Zealanders. And I've actually done a special program for this. And there's a link in the description which will take you through the whole history of what's happened here at Hellfire Pass. But welcome to TNT. Let's get on with the news. Hi, welcome to TNT on Tuesday, and yes, it's Anzac Day, a special day of commemoration for many Australians and New Zealanders. And we find ourselves at a rather oddly named resort on Chao Samran Beach, the topic of another one of our road trip vlogs on the road less travelled. More about that tomorrow. But yes, we're at the Seamen's Resort. That's S-E-A-M-A-N, Seamen's Resort. I didn't name it. I think they should rename it. Anyway, let's get on with today's program. We start with The Nation Thailand reporting that the Royal Thai Air Force will be airlifting Thais stranded in Sudan, and the Royal Thai Air Force has said it will send planes to evacuate Thais from Sudan as fighting intensifies in the African nation. And apparently the Prime Minister has approved the use of the Royal Thai Army planes for evacuation. We're now waiting for confirmation on the date and the airports for the planes to land. That from a spokesperson from the RTA. And according to the Foreign Ministry, there are some 300 Thai nationals in Sudan, 200 of them who are students, mostly studying at the International University of Africa in Khartoum. Another story, advanced voting for Thais overseas begins today. This from Thai PBS World, and it says that advanced general election voting for any Thais living overseas will begin today at Thai embassies and consular offices. And the advance overseas voting will last until May the 5th, with each embassy and consular office deciding the days of voting during that period. And all the ballots cast will be sent to the Election Commission office in Thailand in diplomatic pouches or hand-carried by embassy officials, whereupon they'll be distributed to the constituencies to be counted with the other ballots cast on election day. And down the bottom there, Thais overseas can cast their ballots either at polling stations set up at convenient locations, by registered mail, or cars will be sent to collect their ballots. So voting underway for the May 14th election, even though it's only at this stage for Thais living overseas. And we go to our next story also speaking about the election, and Thai PBS World. Why Pheu Thai handout pledge is election's hottest topic. And will Pheu Thai's controversial pledge to hand 10,000 baht to every Thai citizen, age 16 and over, be the killer policy that secures a landslide victory in the May 14 election? And Pheu Thai say if the party forms the post-election government, the promised handout could be implemented as soon as the start of next year. And Pheu Thai has stood firm in the face of growing warnings over the handout pledge, dismissing the criticism as politically motivated. So just in case you were unaware, let's have a look at what that pledge is. Under the plan, an e-coupon worth 10,000 baht will be transferred into digital wallets held by every Thai citizen aged 16 and over. Sorry, not you. The money can only be spent at local shops and businesses within 4 kilometres of their registered address, and recipients will have 6 months to spend the e-coupon before the project expires. And further down, the critics have called the plan an irresponsible attempt to buy votes with the state budget and an example of naked populism designed to win power. And further, the president of the University of the Thai Chamber of Commerce warned that a handout totalling more than 500 billion baht could inflate the national debt and undermine the country's monetary and fiscal stability. He said that such a large amount of money should instead be spent on development projects that benefit the country in the long term. So that 10,000 baht handout, certainly one of the big hot topics in Thai social media. Should they or shouldn't they? But I think it's fairly clear at this stage, looking at all the polls, that Pheu Thai is at least going to win the largest amount of primary votes. Whether they'll get 50% of the votes plus one is yet to be seen. It's probably more likely they're going to have to form a coalition. Who they'll do that with, well, We'll just have to wait and see. You're watching TNT on Tuesday. It's ANZAC Day. Now, while you're here, please subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. We're not going to send you emails or anything, but it really helps the channel. And we go to that story that just keeps on going and is also another one of the important stories leading up to the election. The Bangkok Post reporting that an open letter calls for U-turn on legalisation, and a network of doctors, academics and civil groups has published yet another open letter to oppose the government's decision to legalise cannabis. In their seventh open letter, they called on the public to vote for parties which do not back the removal of cannabis from the list of narcotics and its promotion as a cash crop. According to the open letter, there's been an increase in accidents and reports of adverse reactions on mental and physical health since the consumption of cannabis was liberalised last year. And the consumption and trade of cannabis was effectively legalised on June 9 last year when the Pheu Thai party succeeded in having the plant removed from the list of Type 5 narcotics. We should make it clear that this was basically a deal between the Prime Minister and Anitin Charnvirakul to give the Pheu Thai party votes to a coalition so that they could form a government. Now, the government itself, the whole coalition's never actually voted in favour of this. It's really just come from the Pheu Thai party and Anitin Charnvirakul. Any cannabis bill never got passed through the current parliament. The move, that's the legalisation, meant most parts of the plant can be used except parts of the plant containing more than 0.2% of THC by weight. Well, that's really just words. That's never happened. And cannabis removal from the list of Type 5 narcotics meant the plant and its derivatives has become more easily accessible, but in the absence of a legal framework to control and monitor the production and use of cannabis, recreational use of the plant has soared, according to the letter. The letter also pointed out that if the Pheu Thai party wanted to promote cannabis as a cash crop, its legalisation should have been supervised by the Ministry of Commerce or the Ministry of Industry, and the letter concluded that people should reconsider voting for political parties who endorse cannabis legalisation in the upcoming election on May 14. Now, it's fairly clear that most of the parties are saying they support the decriminalisation of cannabis, but they don't support the recreational use of cannabis. And the open letter included a list of signatures of medical workers, academics from various fields, and civil workers who support cannabis restriction. And at the other end of the election spectrum are the Democrats, who are becoming increasingly irrelevant. They came up with this one. Also from the Bangkok Post, Democrats to push for sex toy legalisation. Boy, am I going to get demonetised today. The Democrat Party has pledged to push for legalising sex toys, saying it will bring more benefits beyond sexual pleasure, and the party made clear its stance towards supporting establishing a sex toy industry in Thailand, with the primary aim of making sex toys safe products for consumers. Not sure how that's meant to read, according to the deputy government spokeswoman. And while sex toys are currently illegal in Thailand, they're being smuggled into the country due to demand. And she says that this means the state's losing a chance to collect taxes, while some corrupt state officials demand bribes in exchange for turning a blind eye. That story being reported in the Bangkok Post. Not exactly sure what the voting public is going to think of that one. We'll soon find out. Let's go to our next story today, and this time we're in the nation, Thailand. And Thailand's COVID-19 cases, deaths, more than double after Songkran. This was basically predicted, and it's not a problem, but we'll report the figures anyway. The first week after the long Songkran holiday saw 1,088 COVID-19 patients being admitted to hospital, 5 succumbing to the virus. And these numbers from April the 16th to the 22nd, an average of 155 people per day. Of the admitted patients, 73 suffered lung inflammation, 35 required ventilators. And since the beginning of the year, Thailand's seen 6,571 patients being admitted for COVID-19 treatment and 278 dying from the virus. So those numbers are a long way down from back in 2021. Just some regional news now. We go to coconuts, Singapore. This is from coconuts.co. And in the coming days, Singapore may kill an innocent man. This is from Richard Branson on Tanggajaroos Supia's upcoming execution. And last Thursday, anti-death penalty activists in Singapore received notification that the government's preparing to execute the 46-year-old Singaporean convicted of conspiracy to traffic marijuana. So quite a different policy in one of the neighbouring Southeast Asian countries. This man convicted for conspiracy to traffic marijuana. So since then, local activists and the man's family have tried to raise awareness about some of the troubling details of his case in the hopes it can be reviewed and his execution halted. Richard Branson saying in the coming days, Singapore may kill an innocent man. The case is particularly shocking given the defendant was not anywhere near the drugs in question at the time of arrest. And yesterday, activists from TJC and members of the man's family collected 60 letters pleading for the President of Singapore to grant him clemency and stop the execution. And Singapore executed 11 people last year, all for non-violent drug-related offences. The spate of executions led to a growing outcry from activists, both local and international, as well as multinational organisations such as the European Union and the UN, calling for the city-state to abolish its death penalty regime. Well, I should declare that I was arrested in Singapore back in 2003 for protesting in Singapore against the death penalty over the execution of an Australian at the time. Okay, with that, we should also remember that it is ANZAC Day, and there is a poem that is said at all ANZAC Day dawn services, so we'll leave you on today's TNT with that poem. They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. And with that, I'd like to thank Richard Barrow for letting us share those photos from the ANZAC Day dawn service at Hellfire Pass this morning. There's a separate video about Hellfire Pass that will come out this afternoon as part of our road trip videos. Hope you enjoy that. In the meantime, thank you for joining us on TNT this morning. Please subscribe to the channel, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow.